Divorce is one of the most challenging transitions in life, and without the right guidance, it can quickly turn into a disaster. Welcome to Dodging Divorce Disasters, the show that helps you navigate the legal, financial, and emotional pitfalls of divorce before they happen. Each episode, we sit down with top professionals in the divorce community to hear real-life war stories, cautionary tales from the trenches of divorce. But we won't just leave you with the horror stories. Our experts will break down exactly what went wrong and, more importantly, how you can avoid making the same mistakes. Whether you're in the early stages of separation, deep in the process, or supporting someone through it, we're here to help you move forward with clarity, confidence, and fewer regrets. We're your hosts, Lori Hawkins and Pam Abarashed. We are local experts in the areas of real estate and lending, and we're so excited to be sharing these incredible professionals with you. Let's dive in.
Hi, today we have Kristen Shearin with us. I am so excited to have her here. She is an attorney. She also does mediation, and she is a CDFA, a Certified Divorce Financial Analyst. Now, I came in contact with you. I think it's kind of a funny story because we did not know each other. The attorneys that I work with, I send out a monthly email to them. And it just so happened that he was working with you on a case, a mediation case, and y'all had this situation come up. And he was like, you know what? I got an email about this and forwarded my email to you. And so that was kind of how we came together.
Yeah, and the information that you shared with him helped us settle that case because we were in the middle of mediation and that was our barrier. And he was like, you know what? Somebody had just sent out something about this. I think I know something about this. And it was something about a refinance. And he was like, let me pull up that email. And he pulled up your email and showed it to us. And I went ahead and pulled up the rule that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And it was accurate, and I was able to talk to my client, and that was the barrier that we had towards settlement, and we settled the case because of it. Yeah. So
That is, I know, that is so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about the firm you're with, what areas you do practice, maybe what counties that you practice in, and just kind of how you have become who you are today.
Yeah, sure. I practice in Mecklenburg County and Union County. I only practice family law. I have been a litigator for my entire practice. I'm stepping away from that to a large degree. I think once you do this work for a while, you see the value in settlement. And I think at some point you just have to make the decision that, I'm going to take litigation options off of the table. I do still really like litigation, just in the fact that it keeps the process moving forward. I do like the timelines that litigation sets, but it takes a pretty strong act to get me to litigate a case these days. I mean, there's some cases that they just need to be litigated, and that's fine. But I've really moved towards arbitration rather than litigation, and so doing mediation and trying to settle cases, and then if you encounter an obstacle that you just can't get past for whatever reason, I really like to hire an attorney out there who I know, I value their opinion, and hire them to make the decision because, and there's really why I love it so much is you can pick your date, you can give it the time that it deserves, and you can make sure that your clients really feel heard, which doesn't often happen in the courtroom. A lot of times you leave the courtroom and you just feel, defeated because you didn't get a chance to convey your story in the way that you wanted to. And so that's really what I like to do these days. It's a little challenging to talk clients into arbitrating with a private attorney rather than a judge. But I really see the value in it. I think a lot of times they just have the time and the experience to dedicate towards solving the problem more so than our judges who are really just limited in what they can do oftentimes.
I don't think a lot of people know what arbitration is. It is not mentioned very often. And I too, I mean, I am not an attorney, but just hearing attorneys every month in Second Saturday, the divorce workshop, they very rarely mention arbitration. And I will bring it up because I think it kind of it seems like since COVID and probably even before COVID, but the courts are so backlogged and you have to wait so long that why not? This is like another, and I guess it does. I guess it costs more, right, to do arbitration.
I mean, yes and no. I recently did one, and this doesn't have anything to do with real estate, but it's the issue was relocation. Somebody wanted to move with the child, and the other person didn't want them to move. So you're at an impasse, right? One person's moving, one person's not. Somebody wants to take the kid, somebody doesn't want the kid to go. We need to come up with a new schedule. And they had just gotten a job change. And so there is absolutely no way that you're getting into court before that job change takes place. And so we went to arbitration on that issue. And what was really nice about it is, we scheduled it, it's in a conference room, so it's much more casual. There's snacks, which is always good. You can take bathroom breaks anytime you want to. And we had decided, the other attorney and I, since that was really the only issue, we had decided to just not have rules of evidence and just let our clients tell their story. And that's something that could have never happened in the courtroom. And my client ultimately lost. She wasn't allowed to relocate with the child, but she did tell me that she felt heard and she felt understood.
Mm.
And that arbitrator, while he didn't let her move with the child, he was able to work out a schedule right then and there with who's getting summers, who's getting the holidays, what is the holiday schedule, when could she come here to visit, when can the child come there to visit, how is that going to happen, who's going to pay for it. And all of that was done in a month,
Yeah.
which
Wow.
was wonderful for everyone, including the client. And so yeah, you have to pay the arbitrator, but they were going to have to pay the attorneys anyway. We didn't have to put together exhibit binders, which saved them money, and we didn't have to go to a million pretrial conferences trying to get a court date, which cost money. So at the end, I think it saved money, time, effort, energy. I
Yeah.
love it. I do it every time I can talk my clients and the other side into doing.
Let me ask one more question before we move on. These interviews, I learned so much myself, so I ask questions because I feel like whoever may be listening this may have the same exact question. Um, the attorney who is the arbitrator, are they typically a family law attorney, or can any attorney be an arbitrator for a family law case? How does that normally work?
So they normally are attorneys, and an attorney can be certified to do that. But any attorney can do it as long as you write a pretrial order that says that their decision is going to be binding. So you can agree to it anytime you want to. And I like to pick the attorneys that I know are really good in a particular subject matter. So for
Right.
that particular case, we picked, a parent coordinator, somebody that had a great deal of experience in, you know, high conflict custody,
Yeah.
and custodial agreements, and somebody that had been around for a very long time. They knew what they were doing, and and I knew that I was going to be comfortable with their decision. Not that I was necessarily going to like it, but I knew that they would be thoughtful,
Yeah.
and and that they had the experience to make that choice. And so, if you have, a real estate issue, you could go to an attorney that you know is good with numbers, or if you had, a quadro
Yeah.
issue or whatever your issue was, you could pick an attorney that you knew had that experience. We had another one, we picked an attorney, and he's been around for, a million years, and it was a complicated case, and I knew that he had the experience to deal with it. And so I like to choose, someone that's suited for the case, which is way better than a judge, because then you just get who you get.
Exactly. I was going to say, to me, that is just another reason to do arbitration
Mhm.
because from what I have heard, a judge a lot of times has no idea, when you go in front of them about this case and they have a day to hear or so what you're going to say and then make a ruling. So, I mean, to me, that's just another reason to do arbitration, that you can pick the person that has some kind of specialty or expertise in that area.
Some of our judges, aren't parents. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you haven't driven all over town going to extracurricular activities in traffic, it's just
Mhm.
something that you can't appreciate, because you haven't done it. You haven't fed your child in between, all these activities. And so, when if you're picking something, a dispute over, something like that, pick somebody that you know has 4 kids.
Hmm.
And they've done it. There's another attorney here in town. I know he has a ton of rental property. Um, and he's a landlord. He would be very well suited, and he's been practicing for a long time. He would be very, very well suited to a real estate dispute.
Yeah, great points.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, thank you for sharing all of that information with us because that gives us a really good foundation
Hmm.
to kind of go into the meat and potatoes of our podcast. But before we get into that, we always like to talk about something fun. And you told us that you have been playing with a surprise box of puppies. Tell us about
Yes.
that.
Yes, it's so fun. So my mother, who is crazy, she had surgery last Wednesday, and she went to, and she was fine. The surgery went well, but she went to CVS on Thursday and found a box of puppies. So of course, what do you do immediately after having surgery is you
Oh,
Take
take
them.
the box. So I've been helping her with it, and it's been really, really fun. She did find a foster uh, family to take 3 of them. She still has 2 of them left. But they're super cute, and but yeah, they're into everything. I mean, just so mouthy. They just go around and just little sharks. But they're
oh,
really cute and fun. They have those little puppy bellies, and
oh, and
Oh,
little puppy breath. Oh, I just,
yeah,
do you know
yeah.
how old they are?
I think they're young. I mean, I think they're only about 6 weeks or so. Yeah,
Oh,
really,
babies.
really cute.
what kind? What kind are they?
I don't know. They
Lori
look
needs a dog.
they look like a lab mix, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. So,
Oh my
they're
goodness.
cute. I'll send you guys the link. You can post it if anybody
Yeah.
wants to.
Yeah, send me, please.
Yeah.
Okay, so I could talk about puppies all day, but let's stop me before I get started. So, the whole point of our podcast is to talk about a divorce disaster that you've experienced. So, tell us about the story of like either a specific scenario that you encountered or maybe something that you see happen really often, and then how can people avoid that same disaster happening to them?
Well, I think any case has the potential to be a disaster. Absolutely any case, if it's handled incorrectly. I think so. My very best stories, I have 2 that are your jaw would drop, but I can't tell you them, but they're so good. I wish I could. But one I can tell you is I recently divorced the same couple for the 4th time. So yeah, and they wouldn't
What?
even mind me telling you that because they're pretty open about it. But yeah, the 4th time. So they got married and divorced 4 times.
That I have never, ever,
Yeah,
ever.
that's my
I mean,
record.
they just couldn't learn their lesson.
Well, I've had 2 before, and I had one that had done it 3 times, but this is my record 4 times.
So, like the whole 1 year separation, they've spent 4 years separated and still chosen to get remarried.
Yeah, yeah. So this last time I just told them to stay together, but I feel like
It's
there's
probably cheaper to stay together.
yeah. Well, and there's definitely some magnetism there that is just not going away. So
I know.
I should just make it work at this
Oh
point.
my gosh, that is
Yeah.
amazing.
So, but that's my point. I feel like, people are going to make the choices that they're going to make. And I think to an extent, we're guides in this process, but at the end of the day, we do work for them and it is their life and it's their choices. And, sometimes they come in our office because they haven't made the best choices. And other times they're there through absolutely no fault of their own. So, you just have to take people out as you find them and guide them as best as you can. But I can't say that there's, any, I think any divorce has the opportunity to be a complete disaster.
Yeah.
And the most complicated cases, I've had the most complicated cases that have just gone so smoothly. I have one right now that is a real estate case, and they have a lot of investment properties, and they're all mortgaged off of each other. And so untangling it is really challenging. And I think that we both came in there with really heavy hammers, we have the opportunity to sort of have this house of cards just crumble,
Mhm.
where there's a lot of assets and income there if it's treated right. And
Right.
so, what we did was, we're enlisting the help of a CDFA who's also an accountant to help us pull that apart, taking into consideration, the tax ramifications and capital gains and how these things are financed. And it might take us a long time to pull this one apart. And that's why it's nice being able to work in that environment where, we're not like this forcing it. We're going to do it in a way that's really mindful and makes sense,
Mhm.
to protect both of them. And so that's one that I feel like could have easily been a disaster, because
Right.
there's not the cash flow,
Mm.
to force that one apart right now.
And things can go nice to bad very quickly,
Yeah.
when you're in a divorce setting. So
Yeah,
you
and I
think,
think that's where, like, having the financial neutral really helps everyone feel safe. It helps everyone feel that there's someone that's looking at this. There's someone that understands it. That no one's doing anything without the other side knowing. That's why
mhm,
I think that they can be really helpful, and
mhm,
well worth the money. This is again one of those situations where, what's the cost benefit? It's
exactly.
huge
Yeah.
in a case like this.
Well, and that kind of perfectly leads us into the next question I was going to ask you. You have a very unique, being a family law attorney, a very unique niche that you do because you also are a CDFA. Explain what that is, what the initials stand for, what it is, and why you love it, and why you decided to do that.
So a CDFA stands for Certified Divorce Financial Analyst, and it's just somebody that has training in finances and divorce and the implications of finances and divorce. So we get a lot. There's a course that you take, there's a test that you take to become certified, and then you get a lot of ongoing training in very specialized things like, quadras, qualified domestic relations orders. You get some specialized training in taxes, and so we're able to look at, finances in, just a more in-depth way than maybe, attorneys that don't have that training. So a certified divorce financial analysts don't have to be attorneys. They can be, a lot of, certified financial planners are, CDFAs. There are a lot of accountants that are CDFAs. We even have some paralegals that are CDFAs. I got the training because I was doing these family law cases, and when lawyers go to law school, most of us are history majors or political science majors. I was an English major. Um, we don't, we're not financial people. I think that we can be. There's obviously a lot of business attorneys out there that are dealing with high level financial matters, but the reality is as a divorce attorney, and probably 70% of what I do is financial.
Mhm.
And I just felt like I didn't have the knowledge that I needed, to really be able to educate my clients, properly, and not miss things. And so I wanted to get that additional training. Um, Also, I don't love custody. I'm in my happy place with a spreadsheet and some bank statements. I really
We
You-
am.
just become
You're in
best
the right
friends.
presence with Pam.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
call her the queen of spreadsheets because
I'm a
she loves,
dork. And so, I think that naturally I gravitate towards it. I like it. I enjoy it. But also, when you get bank statements from another side, they all look different. You don't know what you're looking at. And it's really hard for anybody, even if they're really well educated, if they're not this, if they don't have the spouse that has the financial knowledge to back your way into figuring out what's there just based off of the bank statements, because a lot of times they're a combined statement, or, it's not clear. And a lot of times the only way that you're going to get that information is through a subpoena. And then, maybe you'll get a P&L statement and some tax returns. And your client's looking at you to figure that out, if they don't have that financial knowledge. And I really didn't feel like I was confident in that. And I had worked with a CDFA on a case. And now that I know that, I started using them to say, okay, look, I don't have this financial knowledge. Client, I really think that you should hire this person to help us figure this out. And then I just got into it, and I took the training, and I really liked it. And I think it's been really helpful having that advanced training because so much of what we do is financial.
I mean, it's
I
just
agree.
a better way for you to serve your clients,
Hmm.
Yeah.
in my opinion.
It
Yeah.
really is crazy to me. And I will say my brain tends to work more on the financial side and I understand money and I've always loved, playing with money and stuff like that. And when I see separation agreements that didn't use a CDFA or like the attorney just kind of did their own thing, it just baffles me sometimes at like the lack of knowledge or it almost feels, and I hate to say this, but it almost feels like the attorney didn't care. But at the end of the day, it's probably just because they don't have a good grasp on finances or what the options were. So I
Right.
love that you have both the legal knowledge and that financial knowledge because it really is providing such a huge benefit to your clients. Because, like you said, I mean, the divorce, uh, this isn't a real number, but probably 90% of it is just money,
It
which is
is.
crazy.
And I mean, and here's the thing, and I can say this now that, I'm older and I'm more comfortable in my skin, but when you start out, you don't want to admit what you don't know. And you don't want to act like you don't know. And your clients are paying you money to know. And so, and then you'll be negotiating cases with somebody that's maybe older or more experienced, or you'll have a client that's really financially savvy and they say some things you're like, I don't want to act like I don't know what that is. And so now that I've had all this training, I still learn new things every day, but I'm so confident in my abilities now, and I'm so confident in this process that I can seek help when I don't know. I don't know what that is. That's weird. I haven't seen that before. And then I'll call somebody who does, which I feel like a lot of times when you're, younger in any industry, you want to fake it till you make it. And I think it takes a while to build that confidence to go, I don't know what this is. But I know a ton. And if I don't know what this is, probably other people don't know what this is either. And so this is probably a specialized item that we need to go ahead and seek out, some specialized advice on. And so because I'm so comfortable with that now, I just feel more confident and in a better place. And I feel like I can serve my clients better.
Yeah.
Because I'm not trying to pretend to be, something that I'm not or have knowledge that I don't have. And
Yeah.
that's fair
Totally.
to anybody who starts out. I mean, we're all, we all start somewhere. And and that's another reason why I love being a CDFA, because a lot of it is educating your clients. And when a CDFA can be hired as an advocate for one party, but they can also be hired as a neutral. And I really do like working as a neutral because it gives you an opportunity to explain to both sides and to both attorneys, all right, listen, here's kind of what the options are for settlement, and then here's what those outcomes look like. And it's not that the attorneys don't know that, but they might not be able to visualize those outcomes in the way that we're able to put it together and present it. And because everybody learns different and everybody's brain works different, and some people are financially savvy and very comfortable having those conversations, and other people just aren't, and they need a little more hand holding. And I really do enjoy, educating the less financially savvy client how to understand this process and how to understand these outcomes. But even a little bit more, I kind of like educating the very financially savvy party that, no, this is how this works. And I don't have a problem. And I feel like they are a little bit more inclined to listen to me because they feel like I understand. It's not, oh, well, you just don't understand. So that's why this outcome. So I can usually get the buy-in from both clients because I can talk to them at the level that they're on, and so it's been effective for me.
I love that. Now, your newest addition to your business portfolio, we'll call it, is dealing with the CDFA, and so, or I'm sorry, with the IDFA. So, you had mentioned that you guys just started a call-in show for the public, and I'll let you talk about what the IDFA is and what you do with them. But if you can tell everybody about that show too, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, so it's been really, really fun. Both my kids just went to college, so I'm recently an empty nester, and I was kind of looking to get into something new and kind of expand what I'm doing. And this opportunity came up with the IDFA, which is it's the Institute of Divorce Financial Analysts, and they're the organization that's in charge of the Certified Divorce Financial Analyst credential. And they hired me to be their director of education, which has been really, really fun. And so I am in charge of their podcast, their monthly webinars, and the quarterly journal. And yeah, and now we just started a call-in show for the public, which is really fun. So I bring in another certified divorce financial analyst on every episode with me, and we answer questions from the public about. We can't give legal advice or financial advice or tax advice on the calls, but what we can do is we can talk about the process and we can guide them towards resources to try to help prevent divorce disasters. Say, okay, listen, here's your situation, like these are maybe the professionals that you should seek out that could give you the assistance, professionals like you guys that are out there doing what you do. And saying, okay, here's your situation, these would be really, really good resources for you to look into before you dive into this process to help them avoid their divorce disasters. So it's been really challenging and really fun, and I've met a lot of really great people, and it's been super eye-opening because I think we all tend to live in our little bubble. I'm in Charlotte. We have our little, the people that we know and the processes that we do. And it's done so differently in so many other places. And there are some people that are out there doing some really interesting things with their practice and their divorce practice with, people that do what you do. There are, divorce coaches. There are a bunch of CDFAs out there that have some pretty unique practices. I met a guy the other day. He's going to do our webinar next, and he only specializes in special needs divorces. He's a financial planner, a certified divorce financial analyst, and he only does divorces where there are special needs for children. Which why wouldn't you reach out to him if that was an issue that you had? And so there are these people out there that have this specialized knowledge if you need it, if you know who they are. And and they've just been my eyes have just really been opened, even after having practiced this for so long, how many opportunities are out there that I've missed for my clients, that I could have said, hey, look, these resources are here. And a lot of times they're free. A lot of times they don't cost anything, or they're lower cost than a traditional divorce route. So I'm learning a lot. I'm having a ton of fun, and I think I'm becoming a better attorney.
That is great.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of envision the people that may be watching this as someone that may just be contemplating the idea of starting a divorce or, separating or something like that. Is there any advice that you would give to someone if they are at that stage? What they should do, things they should get together. I mean, what advice would you give?
Yeah, I think I've actually changed my mind on this answer in the last 6 months. I would actually tell you to go and see a divorce coach. And the reason why, and in the past, I have always avoided divorce coaches for my clients. I didn't want somebody telling my client something different than what I was telling them. I didn't want to lose control of my client and my cases. And I didn't want them spending their financial resources on something that didn't move their case forward. A lot of people in a divorce, they only have a certain amount of financial resources, and a divorce coach, what is that going to get you? And other than, go hire a therapist who might be covered by insurance. That was honestly my thought process. I have changed that completely. I see divorce coaches more of a like divorce concierge now. And the reason being is they know everyone in town. They have the relationships to tell you, to look at your case and to say, okay, here are maybe the professionals that I think can help you. And also, here are the professionals that I think would be a good fit for you. 100% there should be a consultation with an attorney. 100%. You need to at least have a consultation with an attorney.
Right.
But I would let that divorce coach tell you who to go to. I would let them make a recommendation. And then I would have a consultation with one. It's good to do some internet research, but what I really wish people understood is that divorce, every single situation is so different. You cannot compare your divorce to your friend's divorce. You cannot compare your divorce to what Google said. You do need that attorney consultation 100% to understand the legal parameters in which you are going to be working within. But after that, I think that I would consult with quite a few different people in the divorce industry before I hired a divorce attorney. And I think I'd start with a divorce coach.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I agree. I used to think divorce coaches, when I first heard them, I was like, ugh, there's something else to spend your money on.
Right.
The longer I am in this field and the more I get to know them and speak with them and understand what they do, I think that's probably really good advice that you just gave.
I think
I
it'd save
agree.
you a ton of money at the end. Yeah, just by hiring the right people. And you can't go on Nextdoor and find an attorney. You shouldn't go on Google and read the reviews. I mean, you need to rely on people that have worked with
Hmm.
uh, in any industry. I mean, even if you go to hire a plumber, it's better if your neighbor knows, yeah, I worked with this guy, did a good job.
Yeah.
A divorce coach knows the attorneys. They know their reputations. They know how they practice. They know what they charge. Yeah, I think I'd hire a divorce coach, which is 180 from what I would have told you, a year or so ago, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely comes down to what you were just saying earlier too. Like when you're younger, you don't know what you don't know and you like want to prove yourself and all of that. And as you get established in your career, you make these connections and you rely on your network. So just like that special needs financial analyst,
Hmm.
Hmm.
you wouldn't know that that exists unless you know somebody who's doing that. And having somebody who can kind of be your quarterback and direct you to the right places is invaluable. And then having a divorce coach is probably much cheaper than having an attorney. So a lot of people will call and vent to their attorney about their emotions, and that's where you should have a divorce coach or a therapist to talk to. Um, and that I would say is probably one of the biggest things that we hear is
Right.
people are calling and talking to these expensive professionals about things that these expensive professionals aren't trained to handle. Like you're not a therapist.
Right.
So they should be calling their therapist or their divorce coach for that. And that's where a divorce coach can kind of make sure you're staying in the right lane with each of the professionals
Right.
that you're paying.
And there
Yeah,
is
I
a
mean,
difference between a divorce coach and a therapist.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely two different things too. So
Hmm.
for anyone that doesn't realize what a divorce coach is, they need to dig into it a little bit or reach out to one of us because we have tons of names
Yeah.
that we could recommend. So,
even if it's just doing a consultation with a divorce coach to learn
mhm.
about the different types of divorce, to learn about the mediators that are out there, to learn about the divorce process. Just do a consultation with one, even if you choose not to hire one. But yeah, an attorney is a very expensive therapist, and
Mhm.
I spend a good deal of my time um, just filtering through, emotions that I'm happy to do it. You can pay me to do it. That's fine. But it's not a good use of your money. The other
Mhm.
thing is, I do think that depending on your situation and where you are with your financial knowledge and your comfort level, I would go and have a consultation with a certified divorce financial analyst too, because most of a divorce comes down to finances and money. And so go and have a consultation with them. Again, get them to give you some names of attorneys, get them to tell you about, the processes. And so I would have a consultation with a divorce coach, a CDFA, and an attorney. And then I would go to mediation. That's what I would do. I know, but again, everyone's different. Everyone has their comfort level and makes the choices that they need to make. But if I had to give anybody advice, that's what I would do.
Good advice. Good advice.
So, as an attorney, as a certified divorce financial analyst, what are a couple questions that you would suggest our listeners ask to a CDFA or an attorney to figure out who they do want to work with?
Um, I think honestly, as soon as I hear a person's story, I have attorneys that pop in my head that, oh, this is going to be a good fit for you, or this is going to be a good fit for you. And it really comes down to temperament, I think, and it comes down to practice style. So there are attorneys in this town that are just, they're going to litigate a case. They're going to file a lawsuit. That's going to be step one, which is fine if you have a case that needs that, or that's what you feel like you want to do. But the list of attorneys that are going to settle cases start out with a collaborative approach, start out with that mindset, start out with you know, their pricing. The list is actually pretty small. It doesn't take very long to say, oh, here's 5 attorneys that I think would be good fits for you, and oh, these ones, I don't think I would call them if I were you. So it really, I think, just tell your story. That's all you need to do. Be honest about your wishes and your desires and your financial outcomes and your resources that you have to spend on this, and then let them know. If your spouse is awful and they're horrible, and it doesn't matter how badly you want this case to settle or it wants to go to mediation, hire a litigation attorney. You're gonna need it. That's fine. Then this process isn't for you. Whenever I have mediation clients, I had some yesterday, and I just do a quick 10-minute phone call with them before I will even schedule them for mediation, to just say, hey, listen, I want to know where you are, what your headspace is, and to see if you're going to be a good mediation candidate. Are you doing this to be, what are your goals? What do you plan to achieve out of this? And you can tell very, very quickly where everyone's mindset is. And mediation settlement is not for everyone. People say it is, but you can tell pretty quickly when it's not.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the list, and and that's here in this town. I think probably it operates similarly in every town. I mean, I think who you should go to is pretty obvious after a few minutes.
Yeah.
It's not always me. I'll send you to somebody else all the time. I'll say, I'm not for you. This person's better suited for you. But
that's a good attorney, I think, that will do that.
But to the extent that you can have your spouse hire an attorney that gets along with your attorney, I think that's always a good idea. I know some people are scared of it because, oh, well, y'all are friends. And, we're not friends. We're colleagues. We work with a lot of people, and some of us get work better together than others. So I don't think that's a bad thing. People are always scared of it. And no, I'm going to represent my client, and they're going to represent their client, and we're all going to do our jobs because we're professionals. But if we get along, we're not going to spend a lot of your money writing mean letters. We're just going to pick up the phone and say, hey, how do you want to solve this problem?
That's a really good point too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Kristen, thank you so much for joining us. We will put your information on the video here, but where can listeners find you if they want to contact you or get more information out of you?
So my law firm is Shearin Law. It's SHEARIN Law. So you can find me on my website. And then if you are interested in hiring a certified divorce financial analyst, that website is institutedfa.com. And there is a search function on there for how to find a CDFA in your area. And again, if you have any concerns about finances, which of course you do because you're getting divorced, I would really encourage you to at least have a consultation with a certified divorce financial analyst. I think you'd be surprised at how helpful it is.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We so appreciate your time. We loved having you, and look forward to chatting again soon.
Oh, and I have to send you the puppy link.
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you for your time.
Thanks so much, guys.
This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Information contained herein is not legal advice. If you need legal advice, please seek an attorney.